Everybody, Bob Adams here. It is the last day of March 2022. Boy, time marches fast when you get old. Anyway, tonight's presentation is a bit different than what we had originally thought we were going to have a conversation about because we're going into business. And there's so many things that iHub's bringing to the table that I wanted to just kind of split it up a little. Ron's going to cover some really interesting stuff, but it's going to be very, very light because most everybody's been paying attention to what's going on out of iHub itself. And then I'm stepping into, taxes, all right, because this is a great game we're getting into, and you need to understand some of the strategies that can be associated with it and what the recording requirements are and all that kind of fun stuff. So at this point in time, I'm going to step out and turn the ball over to Ron, who will take it from here.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you for everybody to be here. You're going to get two different flavors of presentation tonight. I'm going to do my normal picture flip chart here, and then we're going to get into some heavy-duty bullet points with taxes. But Bob does a great job to make it really understandable. So you're going to get a real lesson here. First of all, I just wanted to tell you that we are going to, not only are you going into business, but you're going into a business that has multiple streams of income. And that's not easy to pull off, but it's very important that businesses build multiple streams of income if they want to survive and thrive. And so this thing is being handed to us in kind of on a silver platter, and so we wanted to cover some of those things tonight. And the important thing that is also needs to be touched on is the fact that we're getting paid not only in multiple streams, but in multiple currencies or multiple types of income. And that's why Bob needs to really help us strategize on the tax side of things. But they've given us a full, complete business model here and a turnkey system. Obviously, at iHub, they're going to continue to develop the tools, mainly on the marketing side of things, to help us grow our organizations with as least amount of effort and efficiency certainly provided in their tools that they're going to be putting out for all of us to enjoy. So I'm really appreciative, as we all should be, with the work that's gone on there at iHub in such a short period of time. So let's just go ahead and move on and read our disclaimer. If I can get this thing to advance. There we are. There we go. All information and discussions regarding cryptocurrencies, installment of operations, iHub, support, and educational materials are for educational and entertainment purposes only, are general in nature and not intended as investment, legal, or tax advice. Each person's personal investment, risk level, and financial situation is unique and different, and the information provided may not apply or work effectively for you. By signing up for and attending or participating in our informational, internet, or in-person workshops, seminars, and follow-up meetings, you agree that Bob Adams, Ron Duggar, Tony Elder, and all affiliated companies, representatives, associates, or employees, information providers, are hereby held harmless from all liability and loss associated with the information and discussion provided, and as to any action or strategy you may choose to implement with regard to the same. Okay, so a little bit of news. This just came out, hit the press. I think I got the email yesterday. So I thought we ought to just touch base on this. This is now Helium, the company, making a big announcement. And it basically is here indicating that they went through a Series D funding round recently and closed that round and raised another $200 million of funding that they just closed, and that's going to go to building out some more their programmers, and so they can kind of keep up with the the scalability of the blockchain is what's been a challenge all the way along, because it's just growing a lot faster than what anybody anticipated. And the other thing that they did, which is really interesting, is they released to the community all of the branding of the Helium name. So they rebranded the company that started Helium to Nova. Labs, and you'll see their logo there on the right-hand side. And so you can, maybe you've gotten this email, or you could look it up and search it and read it all, but basically with more than 682,000 hotspots, they just have grown so much, and a lot of changes. And so it's really great. You can feel comfortable knowing that we're joining a company that the backbone, or the main element that keeps this thing running, is getting the funding it needs, and they're hitting all their milestones or exceeding them, and they look very good as far as an investment for capital. All right, so now here's the big news, personal news, and also collectively. This is an email that I received that said, "Congratulations, Ron, your HotSpot Shiny Bronze Cat has shipped." Now, I also got another email that maybe you all got as well, that it indicated that all 100% of the first lot of hotspots that they've received have now shipped to everybody, and the other second round is coming soon. So the other thing was kind of cool. I just got yesterday finally my antenna, the upgraded antenna. And so now I'm going to get a box, hopefully early next week, and I've got an antenna, so I'm ready to get installed. So now let's talk a little bit about some concept of other income and stuff, and how they've structured this travel program along with our hotspot revenues. All of us may have initially, I think, joined at this point in time with the idea that we're going to get a free hotspot, and all we're going to do is just roll in the money. And we learned later that business is sometimes not quite that easy, and you need to maybe make a little bit of investment into your own future. They were providing a lot of tools and everything else, but they realized that they could not keep up with the amount of people that had joined the organization and get them boxes out there. They just did not have the capital and resources to do so. So they got the backing, but under a lease program or a deposit program. We've all, at this point in time, got a familiarity with how they've done this affiliate program with the different teams, your Pro Team Network, your Bronze, Silver, and Gold. And of course, if you're going to host your own, there's some rewards that come from that. But now we've introduced this travel program. Now, the thing I wanted to point out to you is they're using the same commission tree. And so effectively, or your organization, as you build it out, all of your affiliates and your different teams, and those teams kind of build their teams out, you don't have to separately market and keep track of the flow of your revenue coming through the iHub travel side of things. Now, you may end up with some people who are working harder at promoting the travel and generating a lot more revenue through that source, and others that really don't touch it at all or emphasize it at all, and yet that doesn't matter to you. You can just focus on whatever is the lead that you would like to share this opportunity and possible revenue and business opportunity to your friends, family, associates, any marketing that you might do, and it will likely span out to where you're building both revenue coming through hotspot mining, and that's going to come in the form of a cryptocurrency, HNT, or you may get revenue coming through USD, US dollars, and also another one called travel credits. And yet you're going to receive those in the same kinds of Pro Team, Bronze Team, Gold, Silver Team structures, and so they resemble very much one and the same, but there are a couple variances. And so I really wanted to point out to you that if you have not done so, I would encourage you, I'm going to bring this over across real fast, to over here in the important announcements, if you scroll down, day 2 of this training here, iHub Travel Kickoff, they cover the commission structure and the nuances that are different, but they answer some good questions about the commission program on the travel side. So I would just encourage you to go and do that at your earliest convenience. So now that's next. You can see how I was just talking about here. It's a 25% commission when you refer someone. There are two different programs or memberships. One is $20 or $19.99, and the other one is $39.99, and that's the affiliate program. And so that's a monthly membership that's billed, and if they are direct to you, you are getting 25% of that, and then there's some, 5%, 10%, 15%, and then also the code match. Now, those on your pro team may not be, and likely may not be, the same pro team in your mining organization, because you'll have an opportunity based on how soon someone that decides to become a member of the travel side of things, you can, they go into a pool, and you have about a week to go ahead and decide that, yes, I want these 5 to be my pro team. Because of the pro team match, you might want to be strategic about that and get them placed. This is how kind of thing is. You're going to get paid weekly with 1 week in the arrears. Now, the reason to do that is so that you have that pool for a week that you can go ahead and place them. And so your commissions get pushed back a week in arrears. There's no qualifications needed to earn the referral rewards, so it's out of the gates. First person that you sign up, you'll start getting that. The monthly qualifying turn the code travel rewards is once you generate 3 personal customers. That's all you got to do. So it's a much simpler path to money, and it's kind of come in USD form. So that's really all I needed to kind of cover, and I will, be available at the end to, answer any other questions that I might have. I have joined as the affiliate, and I've also spent some time running a few travel scenarios, and these are good prices, and so it's a great benefit to have. The last thing I wanted to point to you, if you haven't already, get a CoinZoom account, because that will be a central point to gather both your USD, it can be paid out and pushed into that thing, and then you've got a debit card you could spend it with, as well as your HNT. So it can be a universal landing place for all of your revenues, and it might be very helpful to do that for tax reasons. So I'm going to step out of the way, Bob, unless you had some questions you wanted me to cover on anything I've talked about, and you can go ahead and move into your portion. But taxes and your business setup and structure is really important, and this is now the time to get serious about, getting this thing set up the way you want it.
Okay, everybody, can you see my screen? Anybody? Hello? Ron, can you see me?
You know what? Let me jump back to where I can see it. Yes, I can see your screen. You're good. You're good to go.
All right, thank you. All right, as usual, Ron did a great job. There's a couple of things I want to talk about before I jump into this next one here on the taxes, the crypto. When you're in your back office under iHub, there's a space for you to go in and get signed up for CoinZoom. You need to do this. You need to do this like first thing, get it done, get it out of the way. Now, I got to give CoinZoom a compliment. I've worked with lots of different exchanges, and I got to tell you, their support sucks. They're horrible. But CoinZoom, I have one issue. I sent an email. I got an email back within 10 minutes, and then I had a Zoom conference, completely cleared up everything that was wrong, just presto bango. Very impressive. Very impressive. So, yes, this is something you're going to want to do. You're going to have to, because this is where our H&T and our dollars from the travel part is going to come into. All right, now having said that, I want you guys to know something, that Ron put me through hell the last 4 days because he decided that we needed to talk about taxes. And, I was kind of holding off on this because I was waiting to see when the boxes got out. Well, lo and behold, we got boxes, and we have travel, and we have all kinds of different things that are coming into play now. And so I figured this has got to be the time. And so I spent quite a bit of time researching, putting it into a presentation mode so that it would be a little easier to understand. Now, guys, dang it, I know I'm talking taxes, and I know it's like, go ahead, hit me with the fire hose, because that's essentially what it's going to look like. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you the presentation. You'll have the link. I'm also going to send out a PDF file of this PowerPoint, so you can feel free to go through it later on. Now, this is only an introduction, only an introduction. When you get into the point of actually doing taxes for crypto, it takes a little bit of work to get it figured out exactly how you want to do it. And it's really quite interesting because as I'm going through this process, I realized there's some strategies here that a lot of people haven't talked about. They don't know. And so we're going to tap on those strategies this evening, which I'm actually looking forward to sharing with you. So, and on that note, here we go. Taxes on crypto mining exchanges, what they are, and how to report them. So, iHub is a business. There's no way around it, okay? So we as participants, we're in a business. Whether we got into it to further our current financial world or potentially another source for retirement, it doesn't matter. We are in a business. Therefore, we have to decide what the heck we want to do with it. Now, I have a clip from a show. It's one of my favorites from a long time ago called Brewster's Millions. And I'm sure that many of you probably have already seen it or remember it or whatever else, because most of us are old people on here anyway. But it was such a cute little line that I had to grab it and throw it to our presentation tonight, and this is what it looks like.
And everybody go back to work, because this is a business, and we're in the business of being in business, and we're doing business, and nobody's business. Do it.
So, we're in business. So here we go. Now, because of the nature of iHub being a business and mining operations, there are tax implications and things you need to do and you need to absolutely be aware of. So the types of taxes that we're going to be talking about look like this. First of all, capital gains. Now, it's much different than the IQD because we know it's going to be ordinary income. But there are some advantages to capital gains in playing in the crypto world. So the sales, gains, losses in cryptocurrencies, those are all reported as capital gains. Ordinary income, which is going to be part of what we're going to be doing too. So anything that's mined, earned, staked is going to be subject to also SE and UBIT taxes. So I'm going to go into detail about all of those this evening so you get a clarity about it. Obviously, I don't expect you to remember it by tomorrow, but at least you get introduced to it. You got an idea what the heck we're talking about. The other thing I want to introduce you to is the aggregate of transactions. Now, we know that the IRS for a long time kind of turned a blind eye to what was going on in the crypto world because it was just too dang hard to figure it out or to come up with an answer or how they're going to tax it. Well, now they're realizing that there's billions of dollars flowing through this particular business that's out here, and they've had to figure out some way for us to report it. Now, regrettably, there's a lot of different taxes that are associated with this thing, and so being able to record and all those transactions, the buying and the selling and trading and earning and gifting, all those different things are all part of the game of being in the cryptocurrency world. The other one is calculating the gains and the losses and the income in USD. You can't tell them, oh, I earn 1.2 of a particular crypto, because they aren't going to be able to figure it out what it is. And it's based upon the value of the day that the mining was complete. So, for example, like if you did earn one full HNT on such a date, it would be the value of whatever it was that day, $25, $30, whatever it happens to be at that time. So each activity requires reporting and calculated, like I said, in USD for your tax return. And the other one, the fun part, is filling out your tax forms. So capital gains and losses are reported on what's called a Form 8949, and then that reflects out to Schedule D. Business income, gains and losses, are reported on a Schedule C, and there's one more form called an SC form, which I didn't put on here. And then the other earnings are reported on Schedule 1. All right, so yeah, we've got a variety of different ways that we have to be able to report this stuff. So now my job is to show you what it is, why it is, and where it goes. So our type of taxes are capital gains. They are short-term, and those are any assets that are held less than 1 year. Now, that makes up probably 99% of the transactions in the cryptocurrency world, because usually it moves really fast. Then Ron, who I got to tell you guys, Ron's amazing. but he introduced me to robotic investing in the cryptocurrency world, which was really cool to watch. Oh my gosh, that's really awesome. And then he learned, I know you can step in and clarify this, he learned that when you do that, there's a lot of transactions. Somewhere around, how many? Go ahead.
I did 80,000 transactions in a year.
80,000 transactions.
I'm pulling my hair out trying to explain that to the IRS.
And even though there's some really great software packages out there that can help you with that, 80,000 transactions, that
I'm breaking them.
Yeah,
they choke on that.
I've been playing with about 4 or 5 of them today, figuring them out so I can teach you guys how the heck they work. And I know that I don't have that many transactions, thank God, but I do know that you have to be able to report them all. You got to understand what they are, and you go from there. Okay, hang on one second. I got to turn this one off. That's my dear sister, but she can have to wait. Okay, usually applies to trading cryptos in exchange for one crypto to another or USD. Now, long-term is capital assets that are held more than 1 year. Now, remember, with the IQD, it doesn't make any difference. It's ordinary income, who cares? But these are considered to be capital assets. They're treated differently. And being held for 1 year, a full year, gives us some really great tax breaks. Some really good ones, and I'm going to talk about those. Okay? So the invitation is when you have something that you've earned, you're not going to want to do something with it. And you want to hang on to it. And the word in the cryptocurrency world is called HODL, which is hold on for dear life. Okay? Now, because cryptos are regularly exchanged, except, example is HNT for USD, during the year, it's a short-term gain. And if you're mining a specific crypto, but the payment's being made to you in Bitcoin, that's a short-term exchange. Now, these can literally be tens of thousands of transactions, just like I got through telling you here. And the other one that we want to take a look at is going to be business income taxes. Now, the crypto itself, that's what we just got through talking about. Here's your currency. You earned it. There it is. That's it. That's going to be subject to capital gains. So all those little neat nifty things and Bitcoins and whatever, those are the modules. Those are the units. Those are the currencies. They are subject to, or just capital gains. However, the process of mining, which is what we're involved with, is a business, all right? So in the case of HNT, from our HotSpot miners, we're being paid in HNT, and the gains will be subject to ordinary income and reported on a Schedule C, which means it's also going to be subject to self-employment tax. See, now note, if the annual gains are less than $400, just to say that you're just getting started into this thing, and you only made $396 for the year, okay, you don't have to do a Schedule C. You can report it as hobby income, not take any expenses against it on Schedule 1. That's it. You could do it that way also. Well, what would that do? Well, there's no self-employment tax unless you got a net profit over $400, okay? And you don't have to do a Schedule C. You can just put it all on Schedule 1. Now, the aggregated transactions. Each buy-sell transaction is a taxable event, and it must be properly documented and reported. So as you can see, there's different types of taxes to be addressed, and they all interface. They fit together. So you can download all of your crypto activities from each various exchange, although I'm encouraging people just to stick with the one, but coins do, and then manually calculate each. Good luck. Transaction date, transaction type, transaction in crypto, converted to USD, and it's going to be an intensely difficult process and prone to human errors. Like Ron and his 80,000, which he's not going to do by hand. Okay. And then calculating the gains and the losses and income in USD. Now, there are options to collect these transactions you're mining, sales, trade, earnings, and stakings. And then you can go out in the marketplace. Now, there are multiple software programming options that are out there. And some of them have a monthly fee. Some of them have a one-time fee based on the number of transactions. Some have a monthly and a fee-based fee. And then some of them are free to use. but they're not necessarily dedicated or detailed as paid ones. Now, I've been playing with about 5 of them today, importing my transactions that I've been doing just to see how each one would do. And I'm narrowing it down to my favorites. Now, is it urgent for us to know right now in our iHub business? No! We haven't done anything with iHub yet. Doesn't matter. But it will down the road. Now, most people say, well, to the end of the year, I got to calculate, put my taxes. Well, the only problem is, if you actually have a pretty high amount of income that's coming off of your investment here or your work in iHub, you may have to pay quarterly and maybe even monthly. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is to be able to extract that information in a format that you can understand. All right? So any of these beat trying to calculate this silly thing on yourself, okay? Especially when you consider all the different types of taxes that are involved. Now, when you have a good software package and they import this data, they can break it down into all the different categories. So it's easy to figure out which ones are going to be subject to ordinary income, which ones are going to be subject to self-employment tax, which ones are going to be subject to whatever, earnings or whatever. It breaks it all down. It's really, really great. I mean, it's nice to see these software programs are out there. I'm just finding that some of them aren't quite as easy to work with or as competent as some of the others. So filling out your tax forms. Now, capital gains are going to be reported on a form 8949. I'm going to show that to you in just a minute. Because you're dealing with cryptocurrencies, which are considered these capital assets, you're having to report your invested returns on Schedule D via 8949. Now, short-term gains are treated as ordinary income. So there really isn't any difference between ordinary and short-term capital gains other than if you have a loss in capital gains, you can move those losses forward in Schedule D so that you can offset those. And some people actually use that as a way to offset any anticipated gains by selling currency that's been kind of a hog and not going anywhere. So they unload it, and that way it reduces the taxation that they've got on the one that does have a gain. Long-term gains are held over a year. They're treated differently. So here is the tax rates for long-term capital gains for 2022. Okay, I really like teaching people about this part because I think it's absolutely remarkable. This is something that I'm going to credit a lot of this to Trump too, because he's the one that really did a lot of pushing in this particular one. But I want you to pay attention particularly to right here. See that zero tax rate? Okay, if you're single, and after you calculate your taxes, including taking out what the standard deductions or your itemized deductions are, and if your income, your taxable income, is less than $41,675, then that net gain coming off your cryptos that have been held for more than a year are free. They're free. Same thing if you had a household, $55,800, married $83,350, and married filing separate is $41,675. So there you are, guys. There you are. That can actually play into a really neat strategy that I'm going to show you here in a little while. I just want you to be aware of it. Capital gains are our friend. They're our friend. Okay? All right, so here's what the 8949 and Schedule D looks like. Now, when you have a whole slug load of exchanges. Today I played with mine. I have about 150, somewhere along that line. 8 pages of that 8949 in order to report it. 8 pages of that document right there. Mine were all short term, so they only used this part of the page. But that's what it was required. Then this flows from here into Schedule D. And that's how you report them on your tax returns. Now, some tax return programs, for example, some of the name brands that are out there, can import this data coming from your software, the software packages that are accumulating it for you, and it's a piece of cake. There's nothing to it. If you're going to do your tax returns on your own, You're going to fill out the Schedule D on your own because it won't import the data, and then attach a PDF file, potentially, depending on which software package you're using, to send as backup for this. Now, you're going to see later on, I'm going to say, choose easy, okay? Garner your report and give it to a professional. Let them deal with it. Let them deal with it. Most professional tax preparers are going to have really great software that can integrate that stuff seamlessly and make it work. That's what we want. So back to our ordinary income, we got mined, earned, staked, SE, and UBIT. So here we go. Mining is the activity and transactions that occur with our HotSpot miners. Now, Ron brought something to my attention the other day, and I realized that when we set ourselves up for our HNT, we're not going to get our HNT deposited into our HNT currencies in our CoinZoom until they reach a certain level. Now, you're going to go in and tell it at this accumulated amount at 1 HNT or 5 HNT or 10 HNT before you send it to me. So what does that mean? The other part of it is they are taking all of the daily earnings that are coming in, putting it into a single account for that day's transactions, and then notifying you based upon the selection that you chose to have before it comes to you. So how do you report it? Well, the information that's being brought into CoinZoom shows what you earned on the day that you received it. It's not the day that it was mined, but it was the day that you received it. And therefore, that's the date of the mining. That's the date. Don't worry about when it was mined earlier, or don't worry about where you've got it set before they report it and send it off to CoinZoo. It doesn't make any difference. The date that it shows up, that's the date of the mining. So that's something that you really need to know. Now, this activity is going to be subject to ordinary income and self-employment tax. Now, for 2021, the self-employment tax is 15.3 on the first $142,800. That's up a little bit from 2020. Now, obviously, there are people who want to take that up higher, okay, and that's fine. That's fine. You have to understand. See, 12.4 of that 15.3 goes to your Social Security, and 2.9 goes to Medicare. Now, there's also a 0.9%. This is where they punched a hole in the middle of all the SE and the payroll taxes to say that if you exceed $200,000, we're going to add more Medicare tax to supplement Medicare to get it, more backed up in what it's going to do. So what I want to show you is this. See this 15.3 right there? Hang on to that number. That's an important number. We're going to talk about that a little bit later and see how that can be used as a strategy to your benefit. Now remember, the cool part about having a business is you can take some expenses off of it, before you have that final number that you're going to say, this is what I ended up with. And those would include your membership fees, which is at $99, the lease fee, if you chose to do that, for the $18, a portion of your electric and internet expenses, which is usually less than 10%, possible business use of the home for a dedicated office, travel expenses to meetings and events. Now, one of the things I want you to know is the $400 that you put in as a deposit on your box. That does not count as an expense because of the potentiality you're going to get it back. Now, when we get down to the end, if for some reason your box gets destroyed, stolen, lost, whatever, and you ended up keeping that $400, then it becomes an expense. But as long as it's being held as a deposit, it is not an expense, so you can't write it off yet. So your self-employed earnings are going to be reported on a Schedule C, and this is what that looks like. All right? Now, I spent 30 years really pushing the advantages of having a business. I know that form inside and out, upside down. I can take a look at people's tax returns and their Schedule C, and I can see holes where they missed doing things in a matter of seconds. And that's just because I did so dang many of them. I mean, literally hundreds and thousands of these I've done. I love Schedule C. I love the room that it gives. What people don't realize is there's over 100 deductions available on the Schedule C. Now, our little business that we're doing, we don't have inventory. We're not paying a monthly expense except as part of our membership in having the travel one, and if we choose to do those pro options. Otherwise, we don't have it. Okay? And there's really nothing else here. It's really quite simple. But you want to be able to use the Schedule C to write off some of the allowable stuff that's there to reduce your taxes on this. Okay? Because you're going to reduce two taxes. You're going to reduce your income tax, and you're going to reduce your self-employment tax. So we're going to talk a little bit more about ordinary income. So money earned from your downline, whether you're mining it or from the travel part, is still considered business income and subject to the additional SE tax that we just got through talking about. So credits, though, which are earned from travel options, get this, are not considered taxable unless they exceed $600. So you may receive a 1099 miscellaneous from iHub regarding this income, but at this point in time, it's still not clarified exactly how that's going to look. Now, once again, your allowable expenses for participating in iHub, they are deductible, and you can reduce both that ordinary and SE tax like you got to talking about. Now, you're going to get a 1099 from iHub at the end of the year reporting your income to the IRS. This is the amount you will put in Schedule C, the very top, and then you start deducting your expenses. Now, you'll want to keep accurate records to justify your expenses in case of an audit. Now, the easiest way to do that is to have a separate bank account just for business. Now, some banks want to charge you for having a business account. The easy answer to that is don't open a business account. Just open another personal account, something you can flow money in and out of. That's the easiest way to do it. And all your income and expenses, they flow through it, and you can split it up, your electric and internet bill. So let's say, for example, like your internet bill was $100, and you took 10%, which is $10. So you would write a check from this account and add it to the check you're sending in to pay your electric bill. Okay? And at the end of the year, you can export all those bank transactions and move them into a professional tax program, or send it to your tax professional, or just use it to complete the return yourself. Staking. Now, this is really a fascinating addition to the cryptocurrency world. And essentially, it's very similar to having a CD at a bank. So your cryptocurrency that you own is committed to a staking originator, and you are paid a percentage, a guaranteed percentage, no matter what the crypto values may fluctuate. Now, there's some pros to that. One of them is it's a steady, reliable return. You can count on it. That's what's going to happen. The con, what happens if the value of that currency falls? Well, they hand it back to you, and lo and behold, what was worth hundreds of dollars is now only worth tens of dollars, and ow, okay? Or if it went up in value, I mean, you could have gotten more by having that held and doing your own exchanges, but then again, let's say it went up in value, they give it back to you. Woohoo! Okay, so you made a steady income off of it, plus you got an increased value. Now, this income is not related and reported to your Schedule C. It goes on Schedule A. Now, here's how this looks. This is Schedule 1, and that's where it goes. Did I say Schedule A on there? I did. My error. Schedule A. I mean 1. My booba. Alrighty. So this is what that Schedule 1 looks like. It just reported. Now, for those of you who have decided, if you're in the process that I'm only going to declare a hobby income, it goes down here on line Z as in Z. Okay? Now that you've covered the basics on here, let's talk strategies. I love developing strategies. 1, you can report your income as other income on Schedule 1 and treat it as a hobby. Alrighty? Now, this works if the 1099 miscellaneous form is less than $400, and if you're not spending any funds for leasing the miner. Now, hint, that $400 deposit, one more time, isn't considered expense, so if you don't receive it back, so don't worry about it. Or you can run on a business on reporting on Schedule C, paying more SE tax. Now, there are advantages to reporting your gains and losses on Schedule C because of the potential allowable expenses. I love writing off stuff. I love it. And any SE tax you pay will increase your Social Security. Whoa, stop. Think about that for just a minute. Why the heck would I want to add to my self-employment tax? Well, if you go back and do some research, you're going to figure out that in your lifetime of working, they take the highest 10 years that you have, and they calculate that's where your Social Security comes from. That's it. So if you get to the point where you're making good money on this, you may want to consider, particularly if you're not drawing your Social Security yet, you may want to consider as a strategy to just go ahead and increase that SE tax. Why? Because you're going to pull it out later on when you retire, and it's going to be tax-free. That's why. So, you may want to consider that. You may want to consider that just as an idea. Another idea you might do as your business gets to the point where it's doing extremely well is instead of paying more SE tax, you can always convert it to an S Corp. That way you go on payroll, it eliminates the SE tax, you go to payroll tax, but then you can add more personal retirement options that'll give you even greater benefits for your retirement. Another choice is included in a Roth. Now, this sounds like, whoa, that's great. We love tax-free gains. But you need to understand there are some considerations for doing this. One, the setup has to be another Roth with a one-member LLC and potentially a C corporation to reduce what's called UBIT taxes. I'm going to cover that in a minute. Okay? And there's more details like I said coming up in the next slide. It takes some time, usually about 3 weeks to get it up and running. And you can do just one-member LLC in a conventional self-directed Roth, but the gains from the mining are still subject to UBIT. Now, UBIT is higher than self-employment tax. And UBIT does not help you. It just usurps from the gains. It takes it away. So let's take a look. Okay, so your gains are calculated each day for the mining activities. They need to be paid quarterly, and you'll need to track, using software package for your mining activities. And the biggest gain from it having in a Roth is the exchange cryptocurrencies are not subject to capital gains. Those gains are going to come to you tax-free. So it doesn't matter if you've got a huge amount of coins that you've done on your mining on, whether you pull them out short-term, long-term, whatever. In a Roth, once it's been aged properly, it's all tax-free. It's all yours. You can do what you want with it. Now, the primary way investors are trying to reach this thing is called a C Corp Blocker. And this is something that Ron has done. Now, the C Corp Blocker strategy really is kind of neat because what you do is your retirement account, you have a C Corporation that's investing the retirement funds into the C Corporation before the funds are ultimately invested in the planned investment. So that's what it looks like. For example, if a retirement account investor is seeking to invest retirement funds into a business operated through an LLC, she can establish a C Corporation, invest her IRA funds through the C Corporation, then have the C Corporation invest the funds into the business LLC. Now that sounds like a whirlwind, and I know it goes in circles and circles and circles and circles, but there are some advantages, and I'm going to show them to you. All the income received by the C Corporation, okay, here's the UBIT taxes that are right there, and here's the corporate taxes. So you'll see that the UBIT, or the corporate taxes down here in the bottom with that red box, for the last several years, since 2018, has only been 21%. 21%. Whereas UBIT is 37%. Now, in the old days, it was 35% for the corporations. So do you see why it was done this way? Now, some people say, glory, hallelujah, that is really great, that's good news. But do you remember what the rate was for self-employment tax? It was less than these. And it came back to help you in the long run. Hang on to that thought. So here's this idea. Let's just say you start your iHub business, and let's just see what the gains actually are. We go from there. So your mining income for your personal miner, your mining income from your downline, your travel income from your downline, your credits, okay, and you pay estimated income and the SE taxes from your current finances. So here you are, you're building up, you're building your business, and you're getting paid in HNT. Now, I don't like the idea of exchanging my HNT because I want to hodl it. I want to hang on to it. Okay, I know it's going to grow in value, and I don't want to go through the exchange process. So instead of me cashing out something along that line and paying the SE taxes, I'm just going to pay it. Take it right out of my money that I've already got on hand. I'm going to pay those taxes, and I'm going to leave that HNT alone. So if you don't exchange it for anything, okay, then you're going to allow that to grow, and that's what you want it to do. So allowing it to grow and not touch it for at least a year, that makes it that long-term capital gain. And if your taxable income is below the allowable caps, which I showed you a little bit ago, I mean, you can get up to $40,000 plus in a non-taxable benefit available to you every freaking year. Every year. So you pay the estimated income and SE tax from your travel income. Why would I do that? Because it's coming as USD. Now, for those of you not familiar with it, in the exchange markets, in the cryptocurrency world, there is a cryptocurrency called USD. And essentially, it's the same thing as a bank. It's even got FDIC insurance on it. And so when you go to invest, you move the money you've got in your personal bank account, and this is not iHub, but you move it over to the USD account, and from the USD account, you put it into the cryptocurrencies you want to invest into. And it's the same thing getting paid out. That's how it works. Slicker than heck. Okay, but you're getting paid for travel in dollars. In dollars. Is it going to grow in value? No, not really. Not really. You can go ahead and use it, you know, to buy other cryptocurrencies, but it wouldn't really do you a lot of good. But you could also take $7,000 a year if you're old like me, $6,000 if you're younger, of those gains coming out of that USD account and put it into a Roth. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Why did Ron do what he did with the Roth? Because he didn't like the $7,000 limitation. It's better to build the business inside the Roth where you don't have that cap in place. That's an idea. That's a pretty cool idea. But is that for everybody? No, it's not. It's only going to fit exactly what it is going to fit for you. So your travel income, will you deposit USD, like I said, and that'll be essentially, it's going to be dollars. You can withdraw those to pay your business expenses. That leaves your HNT to be allowed to gain. And then consider withdrawing only enough to meet your business and maybe some potential personal needs or purchase other cryptocurrencies with the balance. So let's take a little practical view of these strategies. First of all, business income for now and later. So you enroll in iHub, you pay the $99 enrollment fee. Okay, you check to see if the hotspot miner is going to work for your location. You share iHub with the others. You check your location. You check their location, remembering you can get a part of their gains. Promote the travel options to those not qualifying for the miner. Now, you got to remember, you have multiple streams of income, which Ron showed really well this morning, or earlier, not this morning, but he showed it to you earlier. People who have a location like mine, okay? I'm in nowhere land out here. I decided not to put my miner here. And I decided to send it to Salt Lake and put it with my attorney there. Because his location was right in the middle of primo spot, okay? Mine has nothing. There's nobody around me, and there probably won't be for years. So I decided, no, I'm just going to put it to work over there in Salt Lake and let it do its thing, all right? But that doesn't mean I can't go promote iHub, including the travel. Because for some people, their spot isn't going to work. Well, great. Can they do the travel one? Yes. Does it pay well? Yes, it does. It does pay well. So, yeah, I'm going to do that too. So you start your business as a sole proprietor and you're using Schedule C. That's great. You pay your income and your SE tax, which is lower than UBIT and lower than corporate taxes. You let the H&T alone, let it mature, go on from there, and as your business grows, you could potentially change it to an S corporation. And then as an S corporation, you would pay less SE tax, self-employment tax, but you can add other retirement options. And there's actually a way, a really slick way, of being able to have a Roth that's functioning in here that can pay you more than that 7% cap. That all comes from having your own business. And then you withdraw those long-term H&T after a free. So that's a great business plan right there without having to do the Roth setup. But let's just say you wanted to do the Roth setup. You wanted to do all those gains inside. All right, well, first of all, if that's what you choose to do, don't start your minor yet. Don't do it yet. Set it up, turn it off, leave it alone, because you're going to have to set up some business things first to make it work right. Now, I know that Ron and I have talked numerous times, and we have not shown you yet how you go into the back office and establish your entity and give them the EIN number or your Social Security number that they're going to credit the work for. But the cool part about it is you can change this to include a company or a business. And that is significant. That's really significant. So it's a consideration. If this is something you want to do, then we need to create that C Corp, register it with iHub, create the ROTH as a custodial service that allows a self-directed one-member LLC, establish that LLC, establish a bank account, and then have the board LLC meeting enter notes showing ownership of the C Corp. And then once you've got the LLC ROTH established, then you turn on your minor and off you go. Then you pay the corporate taxes from your travel income. That would be a great way of being able to create a monstrosity, of being able to generate revenue inside of a Roth. Well, which one's better? They both have got really good ideas, because I know the business side one, when you start taking a look at some employee benefits and business ownership, where you can actually create $50,000, $60,000 a year going into a Roth, that's not a bad idea either. So there you are. There's your choices. There's your choices. So, one more time, you leave the cryptocurrencies alone, okay, until they've achieved that aging requirements. Then you can start pulling them out and do what you want with it. So now we're going to go through, what do we do now? Okay, so if you have not registered with iHub, and some people on this call haven't yet, then do so using the link that was provided by the person who introduced you. If you didn't have somebody introduce you, if you've just been listening to us, then go to my website at startyourcrypto.com. I have an arrangement, and Tony is the guy you're going to sign up underneath. Okay? Tony and I are working this thing together. Once you've registered, check your location to see if a miner would work for you. Now, if you really want to know more, just contact me. Okay? I've got a spot on startyourcrypto.com to be able to give me your information, and I'll go chase it down for you to see if that box will work there. If your location's a viable spot, order it. And I would suggest you use the deposit method. That way, because the lease thing is going to, in the long run, it's going to be much more expensive. View the training videos. I know that Ron showed you where they're at under the educational and the updated information. You need to see those. Now, we create our videos. Obviously, they're on startyourcrypto.com, and I invite you to watch all those. All we're doing is supplementing what they're doing. We're trying to make it so that you guys have a better understanding of what they're doing. Okay? And then if you want to use a Roth and haven't created one yet, then you can go to Max Plans and sign up for it and just make an appointment with me. And if you already have a Roth, guess what? Make an appointment with me anyway. Okay? I'll be glad to help you get those things taken care of. Lastly, go share iHub. Share it. That Pro to Gold is very, very real and not that hard to do. Not that hard to do. Now, a little secret between you and me and the wall here. I did taxes for a long time. I still have contacts of my clients that I had from years and years and years ago, almost 1,000 of them. And I intend to, just as soon as we get everything packaged up and put together and functioning fully, I'm going to contact them. I'm going to share this with everybody and anybody who would like to be involved an opportunity that's a real easy and inexpensive way to get into a business with some tax advantages, this is it. This is it. Now, because this business has got so many income streams and each is taxed differently, I'd encourage you to seriously consider getting professional help in filling out your returns, at least at first. Okay? That way you start getting acclimated to it. Then maybe down the road you feel comfortable enough to do your own, go for it. Go for it. And then also just be aware that S Corp can definitely be of value to you. You know, if you get to the point where you're making well over $80,000 a year, that's going to be key. You're going to be able to do something with that. All right, so that's the presentation tonight, and I am knocking right on that door of 1 hour. I knew this was going to be long, but that's just simply because there's so much information here. And I know that Ron can attest. I really did. I spent 4 days going through trying to get as much information. I mean, I know this stuff, but what I spent the time on was how can I give you a software package that's going to take in and accumulate all your information, which is going to work the best, which is going to be the least expensive, how are you going to integrate it into your tax programs, all that kind of stuff. That's what I'm spending time on. That's what I'm trying to get accomplished so that when we get to the point that this thing's really kicked off and it's going, you understand that there is a way to be able to correctly get this thing going from the very beginning. Now, Ron and I will be running more webinars later on showing you how to use those software packages. We'll also show you how to use CoinZoom and all the little intricacies that's there. And potentially, let's just say you've got some Bitcoin somewhere else, and you decided you don't want to deal with multiple exchanges, and you just want to put it in one. Great. Let's move it in here. We'll show you how to do all those things, but that's not going to be tonight. All right, on that note, I want to open the floor up for any questions that might be out there, and we'll go through. Before I jump, though, Ron, is there anything I missed?
Just unmute myself here, but no, that's a great presentation. And my only counsel for people who are undecided, you know, I would say just default to what is most simple to do. You know, I went ahead because I had a strategic plan in mind, and I did the extra steps, and I did it well in advance. And so, you know, I'm ready to go with the Roth day one. And so starting up and mining right away, I'm ready to do that. And it's, you know, you could get probably near as much the advantage, particularly if this blows up for you and you make a lot of money, doing it through that S Corp and then setting up a retirement program and dumping excess money into it. Yep. You can get a lot into that. Yep. So don't get you know, deer-eyed and just don't make a decision. Just quickly evaluate what we went through tonight and decide do I want to go through the extra step and money and time to get the Roth structure put up, or do I just get going?
Feel free to ask questions, okay? Guys, I love talking with you, and I'm here to help you get through all this process that we're looking at here, simply because I'm a firm believer in iHub. I'm a firm believer that this is an opportunity that's only going to come around very rarely, and I'm on board. I know Tony's on board too. So here we go. All right, floor's open. Let's get some questions. Anybody got anything out there? Okay, I drowned them with the fire hose. Okay. All right, folks. As I said, I will be sending this link out to be able to watch this video later on, probably this evening or tomorrow morning. I'll include the PDF of this particular PowerPoint presentation. All right? If you've got questions, now make an appointment. Let's have a conversation. I enjoy those conversations immensely, and I really want all of us to succeed. Now, our boxes are going to be here starting next week. Okay? That means that this thing's moving into reality. And I, just like Ron, I agree. I think we're going to move this thing really fast. And it's a unique situation. So on that note, we'll call it a night. Thank you very much for being here, guys, and we will talk to you next time.